Okay, so we are going to do a medallion type style beading. This is a Brett design. I did print it off. Normally you can create your own with a design for medallion layouts. I chose 5 different colors, and what I normally do is I string my needle, and then on the end I tie a bead, and is what we're going to do. I actually glued this on. Sometimes people stitch it on or tape or just kind of hold it in place. I chose to glue. I did use a stiffer type of felt, so it's really stiff. I find that it helps prevent puckering. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from the back side and try to pick right in the middle, and pull through, and then the bead's gonna catch it on the end. And I chose to do red for my centerpiece. So you're gonna put your bead on there, pull all the way through, put your bead down, and then on this piece you want to get it as tight as possible in the middle. So you're going to have your string coming out from right there. You're going to push your bead all the way to it, and you're going to take your needle and you're going to go down on this side, and you're going to pull through. And the next thing you know, you got a bead that's stiff in place. Some people do different ways. Some people do a spiral, or they go straight across. Me, I'm going to do a circular one, just like the design is. So then we're going to go from underneath again, and we're going to try to get really close to that bead. So it's going to come up next to it. Just like that. And pull through. And we're still in the center, so I'm going to do red. So I'm putting a few beads on, and then we're going to measure how much around we need to go, because we're going to go around the center bead. Our center bead is our base. Looks like I might need one more bead. Maybe 2. So I'm just trying to hold these in place so I can measure my exact measurement around this bead, because I don't want to taper it down if it's too much or too little. And that actually looks like it might be too much. Okay, so I'm gonna go down right by where I started. Leaving us with that loop right there, which is okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to hop to the other side and pop up on this side of that hoop, just like that. opposite side of the bead that the hoop is on. So it's going to look just like this. I'm going to reach over and I'm going to grab that loop. And bring it down. So I stretch it like this. So the whole point is to grab that string that's in between the beads so you can pin it down. Then you go to the edge of that line and you go down because you want to hug that string to the felt. You pull tight and then you just start doing that all the way around. So it's another one. I like to go between each bead. Some people go between 2 or 3. It's kind of your preference, and especially depending on beads that you choose. Let's see. Now it's pinning that down. I'm gonna hop over to this side. I did kind of like a cross thing. I started on this side, went to this side, to this side. Now I'm going to this side. And then you go back down. Okay, and that's what we have. We have a little circle going around our center bead there. So now I'm going to start the next row. And having this design really helps because you can really see where your rows start. So you can kind of get the idea where the center of your bead will be too. So when you're first starting, printing out designs off of Google and stuff actually is not a bad idea when you're first beginning. And then once you get used to it, you can start creating your own designs. So because this circle's a little bit bigger, I'm not going to do a full circle this time. I'm going to do 6 beads. And this stitch is called a lazy stitch. So it's only laid right there. Just make sure that it's really tight to the string that just came out from the bottom. Make sure they're all laying good. Then you go back down. You pull through. Then you want to backtrack. So I go all the way back from the beginning. I try to land within the first 2 beads to like right here. See how I'm ahead of the first 2 beads? That's where I try to pop back up through. It's okay if you only pop up through the first one or the third one. Like I said, it's preference. So it looks like now that they're laid down, I'm at the first one. So I'm going to go down. And again, we're just trying to pin the string down so our row doesn't move like that. So then I'm going to skip 2. Like that. And again, just your strings on that side. You just want to pull it over because you just want to tape that string down or tie it. I'm going to skip 2 again. And again, with on this side, pull it over like that. And you're just gonna go down on this side. So then, to continue it so it don't seem like there's a gap, you want to come back to right there. So you want to go back to, it's either 1 or 2 beads, it's up to you really. You come back through, and that's what you're going to do, is you're going to go through these 2 beads. Just like that. Oops, just kidding. Let's try that again. We're going to go through those 2 beads and pull through, and then it's as if we never left the original thread to add on beads. So another good trick too is to also use 2 needles in string, because the second string can stay back here and can do the twining and the pinning down, while this one only does your beads. I've done both, they both work great. For beginners, I don't really suggest it, just because it's so much to keep an eye on. But if you've been beading for a while and you're used to multitasking with holding things, that should be no problem. So again, we're just going to push those beads all the way to the edge. And it looks like I can fit 1 more. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull it down and check. Oops. Let's see, looks like 1 more will fit. Yep. So I'm just gonna go straight down just because I know that's gonna fit in that spot. We got that piece that's loose again. So we're over here. We're here. This is where we just went in. So I'm gonna backtrack all the way to over here. We're gonna do that tie down again. Okay, so now looking at where my string's at inside the loop, it looks like it will land just fine right there. So I'm going to go back down. Because part of the cue with this too is if you do too many beads, if you skip too many, it will pucker them. It will make them pinch together, and you want to prevent that. So that's a big reason why I always try to test to see which beads it fits best between. Although I know I try to aim for every 2 or 1. Sometimes it actually goes okay for 3 or 4. Just depends on the project. So testing to see where my line lays. And it looks like right there. Right there. See how if I took too many and pulled it tight, it made it look like there's a gap right there. You don't want that. So now I fixed it. Okay, and then we're going to begin our next row. So just like that, it has a little bit of waste because the size of the bead is just going to hug up next to it anyways. Looks like this row is where we begin a design. So I actually did it at the end, and it looks to be 1, 2, 3. And because I'm doing green for the outside, so I'm going to pick 3 greens. And it looks like one of the other color, which I chose to do silver. So it's just 1 silver, and then 1, 2, 3 green. So now I have 6 greens and 1 silver on there. So because it's not laying directly with the design, I'm actually going to go back and take one of these green ones off because I can add it in later. So it's going to be 2 green, 1 silver, 2, 3 green. Okay, see it? And now the silver piece lines up with the feather a lot better. Although I'm finding it with this one too. So maybe our best bet would be, even though there is a count of 3, to be just 2 because the bead seems to be a little wider than the picture. There we go. So since I took that one off, I'm going to add another silver one. And then go down. And then we went down there, so we're going to go back to here and start doing our pin down. Okay. So we're going to go back up through again. So go through the beads. And then you continue on. So just kind of eyeball the size of your beads in between each piece in the design. It's like with this, there's a 3 count, but due to the length of my bead, I was only able to do a 2. But here's the start of the feather design. These are both starting to feather. These are the tips right here in the silvers. And this is the background. And that is how we do lazy stitch and start medallions.